What is going on, everybody? So I am back today to talk about a film that I watched on Hulu recently. And this was a movie that I just randomly sat down and chose to watch. Every now and again, you're scrolling through Hulu and you decide to pick a movie and just jump in and watch it. And this one was released, I believe, in 2021. And I hadn't heard anything about it when it was first released. And so I just jumped in, hadn't seen a trailer, didn't know anything about it other than the base cast. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is Together Together. Together Together is directed by Nikole Beckwith. When a young loner Anna is hired as the surrogate for Matt, a single man in his 40s, the two strangers come to realize that this unexpected relationship will quickly challenge their perceptions of connection, boundaries, and the particulars of love. So as I said, I didn't really know anything about this movie before I went into it. I knew Ed Helms was in the movie from seeing the poster, and I just jumped in and watched it, and I really liked this a lot. I thought it was really charming. I thought it had really good performances, and I'll get into talking about all the details when we get into the review. We're introduced to Anna, who's played by Patti Harrison, and she is talking at the beginning of the film to Matt, played by Ed Helms, and the two of them are talking. They're having this like interview process, and what we come to find out is Anna is volunteering to be a surrogate for Matt. Matt is a single man in his 40s who creates apps for cell phones, and Anna is kind of this loner who never went to college. She had some issues in her past, and she's working at this coffee shop, and she's just trying to find something to get her life on track to help possibly push towards going to college and doing something different with her life. And so he ends up hiring her, and the insemination works, and she gets pregnant, and the entire film is the relationship between these two characters, watching these two people from very different backgrounds, very different walks of life and age groups build this bond over this very specific circumstance, and that is the entire runtime of the film. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really charming and quirky. The performances were pretty good. Ed Helms is a little rough around the edges at the beginning. He's just kind of playing himself, but then when he falls into the character after about the first half hour mark, he's really lovable by the end of the film. He does a really great job playing this character in a way that works really well for the source material. I think Patti Harrison's performance is definitely the standout as Anna. She does a phenomenal job in this. Her character is definitely the one that is the most interesting and the most layered, and that we get the most out of, because we learn throughout the film different things that have happened in her past that have kind of shaped her to get her to where she is now. And it's a really interesting idea because you're looking at these two people who are both living life on their own, essentially. Anna's character moved to where they're at because she was going after this guy. The relationship didn't end well, and so now she's just trying to make it on her own. Matt's character was in a relationship for 8 years. It didn't work out. He's in his 40s, and he just wants his life to start to work in the way that he wants it to, so he feels like having a surrogate and having a baby at this time is what's best for him and his life. And so you're seeing these two people living more unconventional lives than what is expected from society as to how you should live. And they explore a lot of really interesting topics in this. Obviously, with being a surrogate, you're having someone else's child, but you're carrying this baby and you're giving birth. You aren't technically the mother, you're just the vessel for this person to have a child. And what exactly is that role for you? And I think the movie does a really great job at exploring that idea and the uncomfortable nature that comes with it, with just like Matt's character is like constantly hounding her on what she should eat and how she should act at the beginning of the film, and she's still a person. She still has that ability to make decisions for herself and do things for herself. And so that kind of creates an interesting dynamic between the characters, because Matt's character is trying to have this child. He feels like it needs to go a specific way, but he also has to remember that Anna is a person. And so that's a really interesting dynamic between those characters. And then this idea of just overall loneliness, because Anna's has a broken relationship with her parents and her siblings, and that's explored a little bit through there. You can tell Matt's character, his brother has kids. He's not super close with his parents. It seems like a pretty disjointed relationship. And so they're both kind of struggling through life alone, and they find each other in this very specific time period, and then it blossoms this relationship, not necessarily a romantic relationship, but a relationship that is a strong bond because of what they're going to together. And even though she's in her mid-20s and he's in his 40s, building this friendship over time because of what they're going through together. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing that you don't often see a lot, is like love between friends blossoming in a movie in this type of weird circumstance that the film is covering. And I thought that was a really cool and unique thing. I do think that the first 30 minutes of this film is really difficult to get through. It's very uncomfortable. The interactions with the characters don't always necessarily work. For me, a lot of the jokes fell really flat. Their dynamic it's uncomfortable for a reason. They're trying to convey it as like these two people who are doing this thing together that's a little unconventional. You can tell they're trying to build some kind of a chemistry between the two, but it's a little awkward even in the screenwriting. And so it took me a while to get settled in, but there's a very specific scene at about the 30-minute mark between the two characters that really kind of invested me, and then I was hooked for the rest of the film, and I really appreciated it for the remainder of the runtime. And yeah, it really does a great job at exploring those things. It shows some things about women going through pregnancy in a very realistic way that I don't think a lot of movies do, which is nice to see when it's not glamorized and polished for Hollywood, because, you know, these things are parts of real life, and for some reason, real life elements like women going through pregnancy and all the things that they have to go through when they're pregnant are things that are just kind of glossed over and treated in this really prim and polished way for Hollywood. But that's not how real life goes. And if you're going to watch a movie, even if it's more of a comedy at moments, like, don't you want to see things in a realistic way that feels more like life and not just some polished thing that makes people feel more comfortable? So I was appreciative that the film went in that direction. And yeah, like I said, it's a charming movie. It'll put a smile on your face. It's not reinventing the wheel by any means. It's not pushing the boundaries of what this type of film can do, but it's still really entertaining, and I'm glad that I watched it. And if you have a Hulu subscription, it's definitely worth checking out. So have you seen Together? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought it was a really good movie. I enjoyed myself. I thought it was really charming, and I was pleasantly surprised by the end. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.